What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Home Slice. I've got another bonus video for you guys this week. I've just been having fun kicking up these conversations with other creators, and I find the collaboration is really fun. A couple months ago, Erica from Erica's EDC and I were talking back and forth in our videos, and we sort of talked about the way that knives dull and how you have a spectrum from sort of glassy, where they break down glassy and round over a little bit and lose aggression a little bit more, over to a toothy, aggressive edge breakdown. I thought it would be fun to discuss which one is better. Okay, so I know there's a bunch of like clickbait on YouTube that's like, which one is better? And I know that like the general right answer for a knife guy is like, well, there's not one that's better. You just have to fit it to the right task. Like if you're chopping only in soft materials or medium density materials like wood, then you probably want a glassier breakdown one because it probably has greater edge stability at any given angle and better characteristics for how it breaks down and dulls. And if you're in an EDC and you're cutting up a bunch of fibrous stuff, you probably want a more toothy aggressive breakdown. So I know that's the right answer, but the thought occurred to me, I'm like, okay, if you could only choose one half of that spectrum, would I choose the glassy sort of style of dulling and breakdown or the aggressive one? And then it becomes a really interesting question because, I mean, as Alex from Outdoors 55 has demonstrated, like hardness has an effect on your edge stability. But what has a much higher effect is the edge angle or the edge thickness. And as Laren Thomas has demonstrated really clearly in some of his research, if you go to a much more acute angle, it actually boosts the edge retention a lot. So composition and the sort of dulling mechanism can be a fairly key element of edge retention and the feel of a knife. So if you took the glassy side of the spectrum, and you've got your steels in there that a lot of them, not all of them, that Eric has pointed out, but a lot of them are your higher toughness steels. And they're steels that like a more narrow edge angle and won't catastrophically chip if you thin it out. And a lot of them are slightly lower edge retention. So you can make up for the edge retention with the toughness by sort of thinning out that edge a little bit and make them perform like some of the ones that are on the more aggressive side of things in terms of edge retention by leveraging geometry. And that's a really fun thing. And I really do like, as a general rule, knives with thinner angles and thinner geometries, so that leans me in the glassy direction. But when I think about what I really liked EDC, like if I think about carrying the actual steels and the way the edge responds on some of those steels on the more aggressive breakdown side of things, I think that a lot of my favorite steels are lumped into that category. That's like your 15Vs, your 10Vs, your K390s, your Maximet, etc. And so I would be really hesitant to let go of those amazing steels for the prospect of being able to thin the geometry of the knives out. So the more I've thought about this, the more I think it's quite a difficult question to sort of come up with a straightforward answer to. I think I will fire the question over to Erica and let her respond and see if she has some other thoughts. But overall, as I think about it, I think there are some tougher steels that still break down a little bit aggressive. And there are some long edge retaining steels on the side of breaking down kind of glassy or rounding over. And so you wouldn't be losing the whole universe of knives to just choose one or the other. And if I think about it that way, I think, man, I really enjoy, if we're talking like long gaps between sharpening, like if I don't have time to sharpen and I carry a knife without sharpening for an extended period of time, like a month, I really want that toothy aggressive breakdown. Like that's where I'm at presently. Presently, I'm like, I'm just so happy. I just enjoy using a knife, pulling it out of my pocket and using it for something. If like it still has tons of grab. If you go to like cut through a plastic bag and rather than like sawing, like it still just kind of catches in and bites, you know, like I just love that bite. So all things considered, it's a hard call, but I think for me, myself, if I had to choose only one side of the spectrum of dulling, Glassy or Toothy, here I am at this moment, I would have to go with the Toothy side. Unless somebody comes out with some variant and heat treatment of a Glassy breakdown steel that I just can't say no to. That's where I'm resting at present. Anyway, I just thought that was fun. I would love to hear from each of you if you want to. If you had to choose half of the spectrum, and I'll put a link to Erica's video right up here so that you guys can check that out if you've not seen it. But she's talking about the spectrum between Toothy and Glassy, and I want to ask you, if you had to choose just one side of that spectrum, cut that line down the middle and take the Toothy ones or take the Glassy ones, what would you actually choose at the moment? I'd love to hear from you viewers. You guys are awesome. I appreciate you. Peace out from the home slice. Until next time, you guys take care.